everybody. I'm so glad we've got a good turnout, which I'm really pleased about. I'm especially actually pleased to see my husband's family here today, which is a really big surprise. And I have to mention that because it's made me really, really happy. So I'm so glad that you could come. And I do feel a bit nervous now as well because the family's here. But anyway, the topic today is birthdays, which is a very, very controversial topic. But hopefully, after I've done this topic, you will go away and think a little bit about what you may already be doing, or you'll think twice about celebrating birthdays. The first half of the session is the history of birthdays, which you do need to understand in order to then realize whether we should celebrate the Prophet's birthday or not. It's very, very important to look at the history of birthdays. A lot of people who go and do their Alama courses and scholar courses, you never learn about this, ever. Even imams, you can ask them, they never cover these in their courses. It's something you have to look into it yourself. So after I've done today's lecture, you can look into it yourself. So I can just start off by saying, if you could please put your mobiles on silent, because there's some new people in the audience. And also refrain from looking at them, please, while I do the lecture, because it's nothing more off-putting, really, for the speaker to see an audience not listening and all on their mobile phones. Assalamu alaikum. Come and sit at the front if you can. Yeah, the brothers are on that side. Okay, I'm going to start now. First of all, birthdays is not mentioned in any monotheistic faith at all. It is not mentioned in Christianity or Islam or in Judaism. Okay? In none of the monotheistic faiths is it written anywhere, either in the Quran or the Hadiths or the Bible. Does anybody know which religion birthdays actually originates from? Hinduism. Put your hands up, please, everyone, if you know the answer. Yes.
Is it Hinduism?
Hinduism is correct, or paganism. Paganism is a religion which is to do with worshipping hundreds and hundreds of gods. Paganism is any religion that worships more than one god, basically. That includes Hinduism. Hinduism and paganism are very, very similar to each other. Okay? So, did you know that in this country and the whole of Europe, paganism was the religion before Christianity even came to England? Christianity came to England in which year? Does anybody know? Which century did Christianity come to England? Remember, Jesus was not born in England. He wasn't white, British, English, born in Romford, was he, in Essex?
No,
okay.
in Birmingham.
Which a lot of people think he was, where he was born in Palestine. So Christianity came here in which century? Come on, everyone.
5th, 6th century?
It was actually 400 AD when the first Romans, who were pagans, worshipped hundreds and hundreds of gods, already lived here, and then some Roman Christians came here to Britain in 400 AD. So what I'm going to talk to you about is what was happening in the whole of Europe before Christianity came here. Okay? This is the calendar that they were following. This is all the festivals that they were following, and all of those festivals we see in the calendar today. Halloween, pagan festival. Winter solstice is a pagan festival. Spring equinox is a pagan festival. The summer solstice, even harvest festival. They are all pagan festivals. And one other festival that they were celebrating was birthdays. Okay? Now, what the pagans believed is that when a baby is born, the shaitan comes to visit it. Do we believe that as Muslims? Put your hands up. There's too many people. I can't hear all of you. Yes, we do. We believe when we are born, the shaitan comes to visit you and he pinches you, and that's why we cry. The only baby that didn't cry in this world was who? Jesus, because the shaitan didn't pinch Jesus, he pinched the placenta. That's actually in the Hadiths. That's the only baby that didn't cry. So the pagans also believe this. This bit is correct. They also believe that when the baby is born, Shaitan comes to visit it. Brother, come and try and sit at the front, brother, if you can, because the back seats are for the latecomers. Okay. But the different thing with pagans is that they believed every time it's your birthday, the Shaitan comes every year. Okay? And every time there's a change in your life. Now, if we look at the film or the story Sleeping Beauty, that actually is in there because that is a pagan fairy tale. Did you know all of the Grimm's fairy tales, which is all based on witches and evil spells, are all made in pagan times? So here it is. It's her christening, and the evil lady comes to her, the evil fairy, and says, I'm going to cast a spell on you, and on your 16th birthday again, you will be cursed, and you will prick your finger and you will die. Do you remember all of that? All of that is actually in the pagan fairy tales. And again, this story, The Princess and the Frog, again there is a prince who has been turned into a frog. If you look at Beauty and the Beast, the prince there has been turned into an evil beast. This is all from pagan culture, okay? So this is what the pagans believed. Every year when it's your birthday, shaitans and jinns and bad things come and they visit you on your birthday. So what did the pagans do to scare away the evil spirits? What did they do? Any ideas? Yes?
A little fires.
Right, that bit will come in a minute. Even before that. This is what they believed. Yes?
For stones?
No, no,
Maybe like offer them like some sacrifices? or
no,
something?
no, nobody's got it. Come on, what do you lot all do when there's a birthday?
Celebrate.
Right, a party. Okay? So what they would do is they would hold a party and surround the child with family and friends to make lots of noise. Lots of noise like fireworks. They thought that when you make lots of noise, the jinns and the shaitans and the evil spirits will run away. Okay? This is what the pagans did. Apart from fireworks, what other noise things can you think of at a party? Party poppers. Party poppers comes from paganism. They did that, that will scare away all the bad things. What else?
Music.
Music is one of them. Anything else? Good?
Popping alcoholic drinks.
Good, good. There's one more I want to do first. The blowing things. I don't know what you call them. Those. Okay? This is from pagan culture. I bet you're all surprised. And we've already had a clever lady over there telling us that the champagne bottle corks fly out and that makes a noise. Clinking of glasses, okay, and music. Okay? All of those things the pagans did to scare away the evil spirits, and lots of noise. Party time. Okay, loud music and that kind of stuff. The music got louder and louder and more refined as the years went on. But music is even a pagan thing. Some of you who saw my Christmas lecture last year, I talked about the Christmas carol. The word carol is a pagan word which means dancing and singing. And, singing wasn't even allowed in the churches. It was only got mixed up with paganism that singing started in the churches. Okay? Right, some of you are shock horror on your faces, but this is all true. Go home, Google it, look it up. History of birthdays. What else? You go to the party, you've met with lots of noise. What else do you do as you enter the door?
Give presents.
Presents, good. Okay, so you give presents, and the presents you give, did you know, are in a way to wish good luck to the person. I wish you luck that the jinns and the shaitans don't touch you today. Did you know that that is what it's for? Okay? So that is what the present is given for. I wish you luck, that the shaitans and jinns don't come and cast an evil spirit on you. This is where presents came from. And did you know that cards were first given to show when you couldn't come to a party? So if you were not, couldn't come because you were really busy, then you would give a card to say, sorry, I can't come to your birthday. That is how they originally started. And then later on, they started going with the presents to say happy birthday. Okay? Right. Do you think that it was only the rich who celebrated birthdays? It started off with just rich people. The poor people couldn't afford it. And this is where the party hats come from. Have you ever noticed that the party hats are in the shape of a crown, a king's crown? Because originally birthdays started off with the birthday of gods, which you already know about, because if you look at all the year, if you look at January, February, they're all the months of birthdays of Greek gods, okay? And then they went on to rich people, and this is where you get the party hat business from. And it was only the rich people's birthdays that were written down and actually remembered, and they were the most important people that people wanted to protect from evil spirits and things every year, okay? And then they would pray to this goddess called Luna, who was the goddess of the moon. They would pray to her that please protect our child from evil spirits. Okay, and this is the main Greek goddess. And a lot of Greek people would actually go to her temple and they would give her an offering, like Hindus give an offering of food to their gods. Remember what I said, paganism is the same as Hinduism. So they would give an offering. What would they give to her, do you think?
Pottery.
No, you're not listening, by the way, and your dad is going to tell you off when he gets home. Yes. You must come early, everyone, because the beginning is the most important part. If you miss the beginning, you won't know what I'm talking about.
A round moon-shaped cake.
A cake. This is where the birthday cake comes from. They would offer her a cake. Here you are, Luna. Please protect our baby from evil spirits. Here's a cake for you. Okay? This is like Hinduism, where you offer gods food. Okay? Some of you from Pakistan or Bangladesh or India know exactly where I'm coming from. Later on, not everybody can go to this temple in Greece, can they? So what do you think they started doing? Any ideas? They started worshipping this goddess Luna from their own houses. We can't go to Greece. Let's bake a cake and offer it to this goddess from our own houses. Okay? So what did they do?
They offer cake from their houses.
Right, good. Well done. Well done. What is your name again? I always know you as Abu Bakr's son. Yes?
San, yeah. San.
San?
Yeah.
Is that your real name or pet name?
No, it's my name.
Your real name,
Yeah,
full
my-
name?
Kurdish name, this is Kurdish name.
It's a Kurdish name. So they started making cakes at home, and they always made them round in the shape of a moon, because it was really to offer to this goddess Luna. But they also shaped it round for a reason, because the pagans worship lots of round things. What other round things can you think of that Luna worshipped? The sun is another one. Anything else?
All the other planets, the stars.
Yep, that's a brilliant answer. The world, they used to worship the earth, didn't they? The trees and everything on it. And something else in the sky?
Stars.
Stars. You two are very, very late. And I'm telling you off because you're my students and you should know better. Okay, so stars, okay, is another one. Now, they can't go to the temple to give this cake to Luna. What are they going to do to that cake?
They're just going to worship it.
Right, you're all talking at once and there's a lot of audience today. Please put your hands up if you've got an answer. Yes?
They make a statue of Shaun.
No.
But it
No, what do you do to your cake?
Eat it.
Mobile phones off as well, please. No, we haven't got to the eating stage. Come on. What do you do to your cake? Candles. You light it up for the god. Think of Hindus and a diva. Do you not light up divas and put them in front of your god? Here you are, God. Okay? So, they lit it up with fire. There you go. We've lit up our cake. We're doing this in sequence, okay? There were 3 reasons why candles were put on the cake. The first one is to make it look like a moon so that they were worshipping this goddess Luna. The second one is they believed that fire would get rid of evil spirits. Okay? And the third one, the third reason was they lit it up so that it would send a signal of light to the gods who would answer their prayers and protect their baby. This is the 3 reasons why candles were put on top of the cake, to light it up. Okay? What's next?
Blow the candles out.
Blow the candles out. Why?
Make a wish.
You make a wish. Who are you making a wish to? To that god. Okay? Get it now? You must have come across this. You blow out the candles and you make a wish. And you make a wish to that god. Please protect our child from evil spirits. And you know this smoke coming out of the candles? Apparently they believe, these pagans, that that smoke reaches the gods up in the sky. Okay? Now when you think about it, it looks really does sound very, very silly, doesn't it? Yet everybody is doing it without thinking. So why would you wish upon a star when you can pray to the one who created it? This is Islam, isn't it? Why would we? Do you remember even in the days when Ibrahim al-Islam came and people were worshipping the sun and the moon and the stars, and he said, worship Allah, the one who created it. So this is from those days. Right, you've got your cake, you've put the candles on, you've blown out the candles. What do you do next? You cut the cake. I can see you've all done birthdays in the past. So you cut the cake, and what did the pagans put inside the cake? Have you got any ideas? Oh, brother, you can come at the front, in the front rows. There's spaces there. Yes, who said that? Good, well done, Priscilla. I'm very, very pleased with you. They put things inside the cake for good luck, okay? So if you found a ring, you would get married that year. If you found a sweet, you would have good luck that year. If you found a coin, it means that you will be rich that year, okay? And a thimble means that you will never get married, basically. It was of bad luck. So they would put all these gadgets in the cake. That is against Islam, because we know that it is only Allah that we pray to, and it's only Allah who can help us, protect us from things, bad luck and all the rest. So even wearing amulets and things like that is considered shirk in Islam. Those of you who've been coming to all my past lectures, we've talked about shirk being the biggest sin in Islam. Not just that, but also gadgets like bracelets, charm bracelets or mood rings. All of that is not allowed in Islam, and this is narrated in a lot of hadiths actually. There's a hadith on the first one, and in this one it says, whoever wears an amulet, may Allah not fulfill his need, and whoever wears a seashell, may Allah not give him peace. A seashell was an example of what used to happen in the Prophet's days. Okay, what else is next now? You've cut the cake, then what? Not yet. How, do we sing anything? Yes?
Yeah, happy birthday.
Yes. So here we are. I don't know why it's not singing.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
Now originally that loud sound came again to get rid of evil spirits, but this was introduced much later by 2 American sisters, Patty Hill and Mildred Hill. They were actually nursery school teachers. And did you know that they made a song, Good Morning to All? That was what the song was, and it's from there that that tune got taken in and was added into that song that the pagans used to sing. This is how Bidah starts. You introduce something, and then you add on something else, and then you add on something else, and then slowly the whole thing just completely changes. So this is how all of that happened. That's how we ended up with singing. And then what happened was, another very big problem is that this calendar which I showed you is the pagan calendar, and birthdays are only linked with this pagan calendar. So when you have a birthday, it's not according to Islam. For example, talk to your grandmothers, all of you, and they'll tell you, we don't know when we were born, even now. You go to Pakistan, talk to your grandmothers, they don't even know when they were born. Oh, I think we were born in Muharram, or I think we were born on the second week of Ramadan, okay? That kind of stuff. They didn't even know about birthdays. It's not until later that the pagan culture got mixed in with Christianity. The Christians then went into all of our lands, invaded India, invaded the Middle East, and that's when birthdays got taken to their lands. They didn't know anything about paganism and where the links are from. And this is how then it got introduced into our countries. Also, if you look at Pakistan, Bangladesh, India, there's Hindu influence, so much Hindu influence. Hindus celebrate birthdays, it's part of paganism, okay? And Buddhists do as well. Buddhism is also related to Hinduism. So those people, especially in those lands, celebrate birthdays without looking at the roots of birthdays, because it's got mixed in with all the culture. But ask your grandmothers, they never celebrated birthdays. It was only 1960s onwards, actually, that birthdays started happening in our lands as well. Now, the pagan calendar is linked with horoscopes, and I will be putting a video on in a minute that will give you an idea. It is linked with horoscopes. The whole of the solar calendar is linked with horoscopes and magic and mysticism and that kind of stuff. So basically, this is where your star signs come from. Sagittarius, Scorpio, all of that kind of stuff is only linked with your birth date according to the solar calendar. And this is again a very big corruption of the religion, where people have started, people actually in the Prophet's days were beginning to look at the future based on the stars and stuff. Yet Allah's messenger was told by Allah to say, if I knew the unseen, I would surely have only sought the good, but I'm only a warner and a bearer of glad tidings for believers. If you look at that phrase, if you look at the fact that one of the Iman Mufassal, which is one of the 7 beliefs of Allah, is in Islam, is that only Allah knows what is to come and what has happened, and all good and bad is from Allah. So all this horoscope business is not allowed in Islam at all. Prophet Muhammad said, whoever approaches an oracle or a fortune teller and believes in what he says has disbelieved in what was revealed to Muhammad. And that is in the Quran and in Abu Dawood as well. Those of you who are new here today, I only use the strongest hadiths. Bukhari and Muslim are the top 2. And then we look at other ones like Tirmidhi, Ahmed and Dawood. But any ones under that, you can then start doubting what they are saying. It's only the strongest hadiths you need to look at if you want to stay onto the right path of the religion. So we also know that the prayer of one who approaches a fortune teller and asks him about anything won't be accepted for 40 days or nights. And whoever approaches a fortune teller and believes in what it says has disbelieved in what was revealed to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is actually in Muslim. Now, did you know that when Christians first got to this country, they banned birthdays completely. It wasn't allowed. It was dealt with as a pagan festival. Slowly, slowly, the Christians needed to please the pagans in order to convert them to Christianity, and they started adopting some of their traditions, just like there's bits of Hinduism have gone mixed into Islam in Pakistan and India and Bangladesh. It has. Look at weddings, so many wedding rituals which are all from Hindu traditions. So that is exactly what happened. Slowly, slowly, paganism went into Christianity. Then they started celebrating the birthday of Jesus to try and adapt into paganism. And then the Christians ended up ruling 3/4 of the world during Queen Victoria's time. And all of those traditions went into our lands, and we, without thinking about it, without even thinking that, hang on a minute, this is linked with another religion, we adapted on all those traditions. So I've got a really good video now, which I want you to listen to.
Birthdays with biblical references. Birthdays have an ancient origin stemming from magic and paganism, similar to the origins of Christmas and Halloween. This belief in spirits is the reason for many, if not all, of the traditional birthday customs that are practiced today. It was feared that evil spirits were particularly attracted to people on their birthdays. To protect them from harm, friends and family would come to be with the birthday person and bring good thoughts and wishes. Giving gifts brought even more good cheer to ward off evil spirits. This is how birthday parties began. Some scholars believe that the cake in the ancient world has association with the annual cycles. Round shapes of cakes were preferred as these represented the singular nature of life, most specifically the sun and the moon. In ancient times, people prayed over the flames of an open fire. They believed that the smoke carried their thoughts up to the gods. Scholars also say that the custom of placing candles originated because people believed that the gods lived in the skies. They thought that lit candles helped to send signals and prayers to their god so that they could be answered more effectively. The other belief that people held was when a person makes a wish while blowing out a candle, a signal or a message was received by their god and the prayers would be answered. The tradition of placing candles on a birthday cake is attributed to early Greeks, who placed lit candles on cakes to make them glow like the moon. Greeks used them to take the cake to the temple of Artemis, the goddess of moon. In present times, too, people place candles on birthday cakes and a silent wish is made before blowing out the candle. It is believed that blowing out all candles in one breath means that the wish will come true and the person will enjoy good luck in the coming year. It is a day in which celebration centers completely around the birthday person. As the recipient of gifts, parties, and well-wishing, it is difficult to believe that this seemingly innocent celebration has its origin in ancient mystic beliefs. Birthdays with biblical references. Birthdays have an ancient origin stemming from saying happy birthday to friends and loved ones was society's superstitious way of protecting them from evil spirits. Birthday thumps, bumps, pinches, etc., party snappers, horns, and other noisemakers were also intended to scare off bad luck spirits. Blowing out all candles in one breath means the wish will come true and the person will enjoy good luck in the coming year. Some also smear out the name of the person before slicing the cake to bring good luck. If the cake fell while baking, it was considered to be a bad omen and signified bad luck for the person in the coming year. Other birthday traditions, such as surrounding the birthday person, singing the happy birthday song, even playing such games as pin a tail and donkey, were all associated with warding off evil spirit and guessing the future and magic. Birthday celebrations are common to the Western culture. However, the origins of this yearly celebration was always linked to mysticism and astrology. The practice of celebrating one's birth in ancient times did not exist. The introduction of the Egyptian calendar became linked to astrology and fortune-telling. The keeping of birthdays then was important in ancient times. essentially due to the fact that the date of one's birth was directly related to casting of a person's horoscope. In early civilization, it was believed that horoscopes of ruling monarchs, their successors, and rivals had to be cast with care, and birthday omens meticulously examined, because the prognostications of kings and those of royalty affected the entire society. Pharaohs of ancient Egypt gave feasts for their birthdays. In ancient Rome, the emperor gave huge parties in honor of their own birthday, which included parades, circuses, and gladiatorial combat. The celebration of days was so important to the average Roman citizen that the Roman calendar designated a majority of days for some form of celebration, including many birthdays of gods and famous men. The custom of celebrating one's birth was considered a pagan practice during the 1st and 2nd century AD. Because astrology was closely linked with the date of one's birth, many early church fathers rejected the notion of honoring birthdays because astrology was condemned in the Bible. After the 4th century, celebrating one's birth became a common practice due largely in part to the Romans, who, having practiced this custom for thousands of years, began to embrace Christianity. The calendar we use today is not the same calendar that the Hebrews used. Our birthday, according to the Georgian calendar, is in fact our astrology date, because it does not fall on the same date as the Hebrew calendar every year. This is proven by the simple fact that every year the Hebrew feast days do not fall on the same day according to the Georgian calendar. When we acknowledge our birthday according to the Georgian calendar, we are letting people know our astrology date and not our actual birthday.
Okay, does that make sense? Because according to Islam, we follow the lunar calendar, yes? So if we were born on a particular day, every year, our birth date would go back 10 days. You cannot trace your birthday. It's impossible. Only when you base it on the solar calendar, which we've only adapted to since we've come to Britain, which obviously we have to adapt to, so I'm not saying give up the solar calendar. But that to me is a big giveaway, really. And this is why in Islam you cannot trace your birthday. You just can't. For it to fall on the same day again, does anybody know how many years it takes, according to the lunar calendar, for your birthday to fall on the same day, exact day when you were born? 30 years. 30 years. Shall I tell you how I know that? My mum told me that I was born on Eid. I was born on Eid al-Fitr. And when I was 30 years old, I'm giving you my age, giving my age away here now. When I was 30 years old, it was my birthday on that Eid al-Fitr. And that's how I know that. My mum always told me that it's going to be 30 years when your birthday will be on Eid Day, and it's true. So birthdays don't exist, basically, in Islam. Let's now carry on. Did you also know that in Islam, you're 1 year closer to your death? And it actually does say that in the Quran. So we get all happy, oh, you know, we're turning, whatever we are turning, 60 years old, 70 years old. And as you get older, you realize you're actually more closer to death. It's not anything to celebrate about, really. O son of Adam, you are nothing but a number of days. Whenever each day passes, then a part of you has gone. Okay? Also, and from among his signs are the night and the day and the sun and the moon. Prostrate yourself not to the sun nor to the moon, but prostrate yourselves to Allah who created them if you really worship Him. According to Islam, which I will cover quickly, very, very quickly before I go into the Prophet's birthday, what we believe is that the only thing that can protect us from evil spirits is Allah, okay? Or in the remembrance of Allah. So Ayat al-Kursi is number one when it comes to getting rid of bad things, shaitans and things. This is the Ayat al-Kursi. Does anybody know why that is so effective at getting rid of shaitans? Very, very quickly. Yes, should we have the gentleman there at the back?
Because there is all of the praises of God. This is the speciality of the God described inside the surah.
Excellent answer. It praises Allah so high that shaitan doesn't like it. Shaitan doesn't want to hear that. Shaitan hates Allah. It's like, say you didn't like a friend, say you really hated somebody, and the other person praises that person, you always say, oh, stop right there, I don't want to know. Don't want to hear it, okay? So if we look at the Ayatul Kursi, did you know there are 9 things which praise Allah so high? Allah, there is none worthy of worship except He, the ever living, the ever watchful. Shaitan doesn't like that. He wants you to worship him. Okay? Neither drowsiness nor sleep overtakes him. We know that too much sleep is again from shaitan. Okay? Shaitan sleep a lot. To him belongs whatever is in the heavens and the earth. Do you think shaitan likes that? They hate that bit. You know, they don't want you to say that to Allah belongs everything. Who is there that can intercede with him except by his permission? This is again going on to magic and stuff. If you look at shaitans, you worship the shaitan and then they tell you things. You worship the jinn. This is my Halloween lecture coming out here. You worship the jinns and the jinns then tell you the future. But here, in this ayah, it actually tells you, is that Brother Saifullah? Do you want to come and sit at the front somewhere? Next to my husband here, you can sit. Assalamu alaikum. This is the hero Imam that will talk to you later about his expedition to Hajj, which I'm hoping that everybody will stay for. Okay, so the shaitan doesn't want to hear that. He wants to intercede and tell you about your future. Also, he knows what is before them and what will be after them. Allah knows what is before and what is after. And shaitan doesn't like that. Shaitan wants to tell you about your future. And they compass not a thing of his knowledge except for what he wills. And this is very interesting because when I give a lecture like this, some people will go away and they will understand everything. And that, believe it or not, is by the will of Allah. Because Allah wanted you to understand it. Some people, you can tell them to your black and blue in the face, and they don't get it. Because Allah has made them deaf, dumb and blind. Deaf, dumb and blind. We've got private joke there, me and Mrs. Butt. Okay, so this is what it means, that only through Allah's knowledge, really, that you will be even to encompass His knowledge. His throne extends over the heavens and the earth. How high can you make Allah? He's right above everything. And then it also says, and the preservation tires him not. Shaitan gets tired, he sleeps a lot. He's lazy. And he is the most high, the most supreme. This is why this ayah is very, very effective in making shaitan run miles away. Because it praises Allah so much, he doesn't want to hear about it, he runs away. Also, Surah Baqarah, especially the last parts of Surah Baqarah are very, very effective. Did you know that when Allah made the world, that is when those ayahs were made? And they are very, very strong. They say that if you do not recite Surah Baqarah in your houses, they become like graveyards. Your houses become like graveyards. Yes?
Two things important.
Yes.
One, before we sleep, no, most of the day,
Yes.
we put Surah Al-Baqarah. The
Yes.
shaitan will stay in the area, not in the house as well.
Yes.
Some people scared from jinn,
Yes.
especially the lady.
Yes.
If you want to scare from jinn, you don't need to. Just put in the Surah Al-Baqarah on your mobile.
Yes.
Surah Al-Baqarah important every night to put.
There you go.
We do
Okay.
every night.
Yes.
It's sometimes maybe we forget.
Yes.
Before the kids sleeping,
Yes.
they sleeping with the Surah Al-Baqarah.
Yeah, that's
You
very
don't
good.
need to scare.
Yes, so excellent.
Very
there you go.
important that.
Does anybody know what else Allah revealed when someone did black magic on Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Yes?
Al-Falaq, Surah Al-Falaq.
Yes? How many? 3 quls. Yes, the 3
But
quls.
Al-Falaq
Al-Falaq
was the one-
and Al-Ikhlas. Not Al-Ikhlas, An-Nas.
An-Nas.
Okay? Those were the 2 twin surahs that were revealed. So the 3 quls, Al-Ikhlas, Al-Falaq and An-Nas are supposed to be very, very good to protect yourself from evil spirits. All that birthday business you don't need to do then, do you? You use these then to protect yourself. So I'm going to quickly put on. The other very, very important thing is that there is not a single famous scholar on this earth that will tell you that it's okay to do birthdays. If you are looking at a scholar who's not famous, they're very weak. Like I said, I've quoted all the strong hadiths. So I'm going to put this scholar on just to round it up, and then we're going to go on to the Prophet's birthday.
What's regarding birthday parties? Look, to be honest with you, I need to give an introduction to the answer. Islam is a religion I have chosen, you have chosen. Have you chosen it? We've chosen it. Is it from you or from Allah? Are you happy that it's from Allah? So if the dunya tells you something and Allah tells you something else, does it make, or which one is more important, the first or the second? What Allah has said. So even if the whole world is doing something and we are taught that this is not supposed to be done in the deen, we should not be feeling it hard in our hearts to say, Allah, if I die today, I know that I chose to be a Muslim and I chose to worship you and I know it's your rules. You know, it's so difficult today to talk because you're talking to a secular world, and sometimes they will pick on a small point of yours and they will make it a big issue for nothing, but not realizing that we do believe you are free to choose whether you're a Muslim or not. But the fact that you chose you're a Muslim, you're not free to change Islam. That's what we're saying. You cannot come and say, no, you know what, Islam needs to be modified. Well, then tell yourself you're a modified Muslim. Someone says that you're a Muslim, say, no, I'm a modified Muslim, you know. So people know. But if you want to call yourself a Muslim, you've surrendered. So you need to know there are certain things that people might say, and you might think, oh, this guy is backward, man. How could he say that, you know? But it's because it's not from me or my pocket. My children would like to also go to birthday parties and celebrate and so on. I sit them down and I explain to them what the candles are all about. Do you know what the candles on a birthday party are all about? In ancient Europe, when the winters were so bad that people used to go into literal hibernation to keep themselves warm in whatever way they had, and when they would come out, they would count the dead. Did you know that? They would count the dead. And in order to celebrate the fact that those who are alive have passed through the winter and survived and fought nature, which means nature came to kill us in the form of cold, and because we fought nature and we stayed alive, now we need to defy it by blowing up candles. So they would put how many ever candles of their age and blow them out to show we can defy it. It's something that we believe is rooted in the medieval Europe. And it comes with its own satanic origins and so on. But people today say, what's wrong? What's wrong? I'm blowing the candles. But you don't realize it's like an act of worship of the pagans. And we're saying, you know, and people have made it a culture and a tradition. The same applies to so many other things. You know, like Valentine's and so on. People start saying, but what's wrong? How come these people, you know, you're not allowed to show your love? Well, to be honest, we're being fooled by believing that, you know what, you need to celebrate the fact that you're 1 year older by throwing a big party, everyone must come, but you don't know that now you're closer to your grave, for example. Or there are more responsibilities on your shoulder. I'm not saying that when your age turns that you must not make dua to Allah, Ya Allah grant me a good age and so on. But firstly, we have a Hijri calendar. Secondly, these teachings are foreign to Islam. They are actually incorrect, invalid. But they come from Allah, not from me, not from you. If I had it my way and you had it your way, we would be throwing parties because our kids put pressure on us, so do mine. But we have to speak to them, address them, try and explain to them, and, you know, get to the origins of it. The sad reality is people take part wholesale. So they'll tell you, but they did it. But these people did it. That's the peer pressure. Sadly, we're living in an age, al-qabidu ala dinihi kal-qabidi ala jam. A person who wants to hold fast to the deen is someone similar to he who is holding fast to, you know, a red hot coal, for example. So you find even families which are supposedly religious, you know, they have these big birthday parties and so on, whereas it is Islamically incorrect. Wallahu a'lam. Allah knows best. Like I said, I've given you a little introduction before I gave the answer. There are more important things we could do, you know, than that. And we could have, you know, we could throw a party on a different occasion altogether in order to celebrate other things than to do it the pagan way. You know, I would prefer a graduation party than to have a birthday party.
Okay, so
Was regarding
some of the things we will talk about later actually that we can celebrate. I'll do that when we do the Prophet's birthday. I'm going to stop here and do questions first so that we've all understood what I've said. And then after that we're going to look at the Prophet's birthday, whether we should celebrate it or we shouldn't, or what we can do instead. Okay? Right. Questions only related to this, okay? Yes.
You know the dua that makes the shaitan go away. Is this one? Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad ila ali Sayyidina Muhammad.
Not that one, but we will talk about that one later on. The Ayatul Kursi. Dad, you need to
I'll
get
tell
him to
anyway, many times.
Yes, Ayatul Kursi. Okay, any more questions? Yes.
What advice would you give to like parents, basically with very young children, like in nursery, like I've got nursery, and
Yes.
they encourage, because you're a teacher as well, they
Yes.
encourage that to be very, so you what you want to try and do is tell them, but you can't tell such a young child.
But you can.
But I have been like trying
Yeah.
to do that. But what's the best way to
The
get
best
away
way
from-
is to link it with Hinduism. Now, do your children say they want to celebrate Diwali?
No.
Never. Because right from the beginning, and I remember in my own family, I remember my mum always saying, don't do that, that's a Hindu thing. It was instilled into us at a very young age, that's a Hindu thing, we don't do that. Paganism is the same as Hinduism.
But what if,
So
like,
at
the
a
teachers-
very early age, you tell them, we don't do that as Muslims, they do that. But we as
the
Muslims
teachers
don't
are-
do that.
Sometimes the teachers are encouraging it in the nurseries and schools.
But
that they
teachers
children-
are encouraging homosexuality, and teachers are encouraging learning private parts at the age of 4. But you as a parent, it's your responsibility to tell them. And if you tell your child from a young age, they know that it's foreign to Islam, and then they don't do it. That is the best way. Others, you will be in trouble later on, like with all of Islam. You know, once they're teenagers, they don't listen. So once you know it is your duty really to stop that. But we will go into this more when we do the next lecture. The other very important thing you can explain is that Islam came to eradicate paganism. They were pagan Arabs, worshipping hundreds and hundreds of gods. And Islam came to actually get rid of paganism. So our religion is very strongly based on Tawheed. But I think it's time for me to go on to the next lecture because this is overlapping a little bit onto the next lecture, which I will start now, which is on exploring Eid Milad Nabi and the celebration of the birth of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in relation to the Quran, Hadiths, and Sunnah. So, based on what I've told you so far, do you think we should celebrate the Prophet's birthday?
No.
Right. So let's have a look, but we can then look at things that we can do as well. Okay? So, celebrating the Prophet's birthday is rejected in Islam, and I'm going to go through some of those things. The very first one I've already talked about. Birthdays are very, very heavily linked with paganism. Paganism, some of you were late, is the worship of hundreds and hundreds of gods. Basically Hinduism, okay? So nothing in the Sharia permits the celebration of birthdays. Birthday celebrations have pagan roots, and celebrating birthdays is not allowed at all. And because birthdays are linked with other gods, and with polytheistic religions like Hinduism, then they're not allowed at all. We know from the last lecture that birthdays involve other gods. We talked about the goddess Luna, didn't we? We talked about the cake being lit up to give to God, the goddess Luna. So Allah has commanded, do not take 2 gods, for He is but one God, so fear me alone. And that is in Surah An-Nahl, in the Quran. And we know that worshipping more than one God leads to shirk. And shirk is the greatest and most unforgivable sin. Every other sin Allah will eventually forgive, but not shirk. And anything leading to shirk also classes as shirk, which we will talk about in a minute as well. How all those things, even tiny, tiny little things, means you are promoting shirk. You are promoting bid'ah, you are promoting other faiths. So all of this is completely shirk. It opens the door to shirk and other innovations. Also, in our faith, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ already told us that there are two celebrations, two Eids. Okay? Prophet Muhammad ﷺ went to Medina, and there, did you know that there was some pagan Arabs, and they were celebrating a particular celebration, and he went there and he asked that, what is this? He asked, what are these 2 days? They said, we used to amuse ourselves and take pleasure in these 2 days during the days of ignorance, Jahiliyyah. Basically, that is exactly what we're doing. We're going back to the days of Jahiliyyah. We are following the customs of the pagans. The Messenger of Allah said, Allah has substituted for you something better than these two, the Eid of Adha and the Eid of Fitr. Okay, and again, that is a very strong hadith there. So the Prophet said no to any other celebrations, but also some things that we can do. For example, if someone finishes the Quran, you are allowed to hold a party for that, because the Sahabas used to celebrate when someone used to finish their Quran. It was a very, very big, good thing. Hakika, we talked about this, didn't we, when we did parents? And I remember you were here then, and you loved it, and you made me so happy because you went and did a hakika for your baby when he was born, and that was brilliant. It really was. It made me really happy that you had learned something from me. How comes when our babies are born, when they're 1 year old, we hold great big first birthday parties, yet the Sunnah, the Prophet told us, have a hakika when they're born. Do that instead. Okay? That is when you sacrifice the lamb and you give the meat out to the poor. And that is actually part of our Islam. Hold a big party and do it that way. Okay? Weddings, you're allowed to do weddings as good as you can, especially walimas. They're supposed to have a bit of drumming in there and meat. The Prophet had walimas for all his weddings. Okay? Iftars, yes, do have iftar parties. That's good. Go and give people food when it's Ramadan. Have iftar parties, Hajj parties. When someone returned from Hajj in the Prophet's days, people used to celebrate that they have fulfilled their 5th pillar of Islam. And go and visit people when they're Hajj and throw a party for them. There are so many ways that you can celebrate. When someone graduates, Mufti Menk said about graduating there, do a party then. No harm in having a cake for any of those. You can have an Eid cake, that's fine, but you don't put candles in it and you don't blow out the candles and then pretend you're a pagan. But you can have a cake. You can think of it as a sweet item on Eid or on any of the other celebrations that I've mentioned. Okay? And parents should make sure they celebrate Eid really properly. Make sure you don't go to work that day. Make sure you give presents to your children, because this is when they will miss birthdays. If you don't bother giving them any presents, they look forward to that one day in the year when it is their birthday to get presents. Make sure you give them lots of presents. There are 2 Eids in Islam, not even one. So if you give presents on both of those, that will help them. Okay, some people then turn around and say, Assalamu alaikum, you're very late. Honestly, I don't know what it is with everyone. You must always please read the timing on the posters and make sure you're there at that time. I'm British born, I'm born here, I start on time. Okay? I do not start late. I start dead on time, and if you're late, you're late. And it's not good. Okay? Right. Anyway, I'll let you off. It is your first time.
Thank you very
For
much.
next time. And I'm very happy to see you because you're from you're from Basildon, aren't you?
That's right.
So you have come a long way. Right, okay, let's carry on. Some people say that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ himself didn't say to don't celebrate birthdays. But he did show us to be different from the mushrikeens. How did he show us don't be like them? What are some of the things that he did? There are at least 5 things he did to show us don't copy the pagans. What are some of the things that he did? Shall we have you again there?
Don't get candles and cake.
No, you're not listening. What did the Prophet stop?
He changed the way they went round the Kaaba.
Right, anything else?
Change the calendar.
Yeah, let's go with the first one. What's the first thing he did when he entered Makkah with all his believers?
He brought the idols.
He smashed all the idols. He did an Ibrahim special, didn't he? Copied Ibrahim alayhi salam. He went inside the Kaaba and he entered Makkah on the day of the conquest. There were 360 idols around the Kaaba, and in the Kaaba here is some idols around the Kaaba, and the Prophet started striking them with his stick he had in his hand, and he said, truth has come and falsehood will neither start nor will it reappear. What does that tell you? Stop the paganism, stop worshipping all these idols. Okay? That was the very first thing that he did. The other thing that he did, which shows you he stopped paganism, was people were going around the Kaaba clockwise. Okay? If you look at Hinduism and they have Garba, they go around the gods clockwise, clapping and doing their stick dance at weddings. Stick dance clockwise. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, everybody start going around anti-clockwise, which is the rhythm of the whole world. Did you know even atoms and neurons and everything goes anti-clockwise, even a mosquito. Have a look at a mosquito near a light next time. They are going around anti-clockwise, okay? If you throw a sycamore leaf down, watch it. It goes round anti-clockwise. And did you know that if we spin anti-clockwise, we don't get dizzy? Okay? So, he even changed the direction of going round the Kaaba to make us different from pagans, these idol worshippers. What else did he do? There is something else to do with prayer that he did to make us different. Yes.
Direction of prayer?
The timing of the prayers, correct. He said, don't pray while the sun is rising, don't pray while the sun is setting, and don't pray while the sun is in the middle of the day. Do you know why? Because the sun worshippers, the pagans, who were worshipping lots of gods and worshipping all the sun as well, were worshipping at these times. And he said we have to change all of that. He also said be different to the mushrikeen. And that is in Sahih Muslim. Be different from the mushrikeens. He forbidden the offering of prayers at sunrise and sunset as well. Okay, and then somebody already said it here. What did he do to the calendar that was based already there?
He changed it to the
He put a big cross on it, and he said, we are going to stop worshipping the sun, we're going to stop going with the solar calendar, and he changed it to the calendar based on the moon, because with the sun, you're more likely to worship the sun, because without sun, we have no life. There will be no photosynthesis, hence no oxygen, no plants, no warmth. But with the moon, what's going to happen if there was no moon? Nothing. A bit of tidal waves is not going to hurt us, is it? Okay? So this is why it was changed to the lunar calendar, which is the same as the Hebrew calendar and the Christian calendar, until Christianity got to this country and the pagans were already worshipping the sun, and there was a solar calendar and they didn't change it. Okay? That does not mean, though, that we don't follow the solar calendar. While we're living in this country, we have to follow the solar calendar, but also we should know when the lunar calendar is as well. When is Ramadan? When is Eid? When is Hajj? I know that this mosque has actually published new calendars with both on them. That's what you should have in your house. So you can follow the English date and you can follow the Islamic date. So when Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam came, he perfected our religion. the last ayah of the Quran that came down while Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was up giving his last sermon just before he died, to show just how important those words were that this day I have perfected your religion for you, completed my favor upon you, and have chosen for you Islam as your religion. He perfected the religion, complete. So, when Islam is perfect and complete, then who gave the authority to people to introduce new things in Islam? Well, who knows what the introduction of new things is called in Islam? Yes, if we can put our hands up, because then it doesn't give everyone else a chance, so that is correct. You are all very late, by the way, the new family that's just walked in. 11:30 the lecture started for next time, okay? Whatever's on the poster, that's the time that I start.
We need to go out?
Pardon?
Should we go out? If we wish, we can go now.
What was that, sorry?
We will go out.
No, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. But I do have to remind people to come on time, because then they moan afterwards. Or what I get is people then ask me that, when is the lecture being repeated again? And that annoys me, because I do it once, whoever comes here. Okay? Right. Next thing is that the religion was complete, it didn't mention birthday, so where did all this come from? Okay? So the fact is that the Prophet never celebrated his birthday, and the companions, they never celebrated it either. Okay? The origin of celebrating the birthday of the Prophet is an innovation that was not done by any of the righteous ancestors from the first 3 generations. So something happened after a couple of 100 years. Okay? And basically it is a bid'ah that was introduced during the 4th century AH by Shias, and celebrating the Milad, Prophet's birthday, is bid'ah, an innovation. It is not narrated from the Prophet or any of his companions or their moms. Rather, it was innovated by the Ubaydis, the Fatimids, who also introduced other innovations and misguidance. So Eid Milad is not a part of Islamic Sharia. It was later introduced by Shia Fatimid sect in Egypt. And I'm going to go through all the history here, which I have fully researched. Who was the first in history to celebrate Milad? It was not Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Abu Bakr, we know, was the next Khalifa. It wasn't him. Umar, it wasn't him. Uthman, it wasn't him. And nor Hazrat Ali either. All of those did not celebrate, okay, his birthday, yet he loved him the most. They knew him one-to-one, they knew him the most. Abu Bakr was his best friend, yet they did not celebrate his birthday. After that, we've got the 4 Imams. We've got Imam Hanifa, Imam Malik, Imam Shafi, and then the Hanbali, Imam Hanbal. All of those, none of those celebrated birthdays. None of them did. And then we will go on to the strongest hadith, Imam Bukhari, Imam Muslim, Imam Dawood, Imam Tirmidhi, and Imam Nasai. All of those are very, very strong, where all the hadiths come from, okay? None of them, again, celebrated the Prophet's birthday. The first time when the Prophet's birthday was celebrated was in 630 AH, and that is according to the Al-Hijri calendar, by King Muzaffaruddin in Egypt. So whose sunnah are we actually following? Okay, whose sunnah are we actually following? So, the celebration is neither from Sunnah Quran, anything not part of this cannot be part of Islam. So, whoever introduces anything into this matter of ours is not part of it, will have it rejected. These are Prophet's words, and it was actually Aisha, who actually mentioned that the Prophet said this. Whoever introduces anything into this matter of ours that is not part of it will have it rejected. So that then comes under bid'ah. And some people say we are insulting the Prophet by not celebrating his birthday, which I will come to in a minute, because we really, really elevate the Prophet. They insult our Prophet with the things that they say, but we insult our Prophet by not following his way. So we're not following his sunnah, and we're insulting him that way. He told us to follow his sunnah, didn't he? So sunnah is the opposite of bid'ah, okay? And the sunnah involves teachings, examples, and sayings of Prophet Muhammad, peace upon him, and also what he did not do. And this is very important. A lot of people know about the things he did do, but they don't acknowledge the things that he didn't do. And there are 4 kinds of sunnah. The sunnah we're looking at here is sunnah tarkiyah. Tarkiyah is things that he avoided and didn't do for a reason. Okay? So, basically bid'ah is, so you're basically saying to Allah, you don't know, so let me add a little bit of my own. That is basically what bid'ah is in a snapshot. And I know you're laughing, but it's like a joke. Okay? So, that is supposed to be a joke. Right, so here are the 4 types of sunnah that we have to try and follow. Okay? This is sunnah qawliya. Whatever the messenger said, we say it. The du'as he taught us, we copy him. Okay? The second one is this one, sunnah fi'liya, the actions. What he did, we do it. Any action he did, he showed us how to do wudu, he showed us how to do salah, we copy him. Okay? And then we've got sunnah taqririya, approval. Whatever he approved of, we approve of it. And the last, very important one, sunnah tarkiyah, is abandoning anything. Whatever he left, we leave it. Okay? And we've got a verse of the Quran here. Allah said, say, O Muhammad, to mankind, if you love Allah, then follow me. Islamic monotheism, Quran and Sunnah. Allah will love you and forgive you of your sins. And Allah is oft forgiving, most merciful. Obey Allah and the Messenger, but if they turn away, then Allah doesn't like the disbelievers. And that is actually from Al-Imran. We also know that the consequence of bid'ah is a shortcut to Jahannam, which is hell, and following the Sunnah is the only way that will take us to paradise. The Prophet said, I urge you to follow my Sunnah and the way of the rightly guided Khalifa. So it's not just Sunnah, but also the Khalifas after me. Adhere to it and cling to it firmly. Beware of newly invented things, for newly invented thing is an innovation bid'ah, and every innovation is a going astray. And that's Ahmad and Tirmidhi, both again very, very strong hadiths. So the only way to happiness is following the Quran and Sunnah as much as I can. So I've explained to you about following the Sunnah. Did you know the other very important thing is that the truth is that his actual date of birth is unknown. How do we know this? Who saw my Muharram lecture when I talked about the Islamic calendar? When was that made? Can anybody tell me who came to that lecture? When did the Islamic calendar start from?
From Hijrah.
From Hijrah, well done. Was the Prophet born before Hijrah or after
before.
Hijrah? Before Hijrah. So how do we know when he was born?
41 years before that.
Yeah, but do we know the date? No, we don't know the date. Okay? So the Islamic calendar, come on in, brother, come and sit down. With his birth, nobody knew when it was. The calendar hadn't even started, the Islamic calendar. It started after the Hijrah. Has anybody thought about that? I'm going to carry on and go into this in detail. So, just as the date of the birth of Prophet Jesus is unknown, again, this is a big speculation with Islam. We say that, they're celebrating his birthday when he wasn't even born in December. It's the same. So historians differed about the date of birth, the Prophet's birth. Some said it's in Ramadan, some in Shaban, and then others then said it was in Rabi al-Awwal. Furthermore, its celebration is an innovation in Islamic worship, as it was not instructed by the Prophet, nor was it done by his companions. And again, Sunnah is the opposite direction to innovation, which is bid'ah. Now, did you know that we don't know about his birth date, but do we know about his death date, brother? The calendar was made after the Hijrah.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
So we don't know his birth date.
No.
But do we know his death date? Yes. Good. Excellent. So did you know that everybody differed concerning the date of the birth of the Prophet, but they agreed that he died on 12th Rabi al-Awwal. Okay? This is the day that is celebrated by the common folk who call it Milad, or the birthday of the Prophet. 12th Rabi al-Awwal, when the Prophet, peace be upon him, passed away. That day the Muslims wept whilst the devil rejoiced, and sadly today the devil's followers rejoice in a similar manner by celebrating on this very day, which I think makes me very, very sad. Because basically we are then celebrating the Prophet's death. It's the same day, isn't it? It's exactly the same day. How can Muslims rejoice when on 12th Rabi al-Awwal our Prophet died? And did you know that a few years ago the celebration was called Bara Wafa, which means the day of death. But recently it was renamed to Eid Milad, the celebration of Milad al-Nabi. And it was actually again in the Asian subcontinent where it all started, and that was because of Hinduism being fed into Islam. The other thing we're doing is we are imitating the disbelievers. It's the same as celebrating Christmas. What's the difference? So the Christians celebrate Christmas for the birth of Jesus, which they're not allowed to do either because it's not in the Bible. And we would then do Eid Milad, which is very, very similar to Christmas. You wouldn't celebrate Diwali because that's to do with pagans. Then why are we celebrating birthdays, which is to do with pagans? So Christians also did not celebrate Jesus' birth until many, many years later when the pagan custom went in there. Celebrating Milad is imitation of Christians and Jews. Jews celebrate birthday of Uzair, who they believe is the Son of God, and Christians celebrate Isa al-Islam's birth, who they feel is the Son of God. And ignorant Muslims then celebrate the birthday of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Whoever imitates the people becomes one of them. This is another saying that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam did. And did you know that Hindus, again, very similar, they celebrate all their gods' birthdays. In fact, the first time I learned about birthdays being wrong and linked with paganism, it was in that week, in a way, Allah wanted to show me that what I had learned was correct. And I went to my friend's house, Sita, my Hindu friend's house, and she had happy birthday messages all up on her window, and she said it's one of her God's birthday today. And I just thought, oh God, do you know what? It's true. And then I went to my Buddhist friend's house after that, who lives on the same road. I thought I'd say hello to her. And it said, happy birthday Buddha in the window. And in a way, Allah then, Allah shows you signs to know that what you're believing is correct. And that was my sign that week. I scrapped it all out after that. So, we'll carry on. Trinity in Christianity. There's Trinity in Hinduism. But in Islam, there is no Trinity. In fact, did you know that Islam is the only religion that practices proper tawheed out of all of them? It doesn't matter if Christians and Jews celebrate birthdays because they are already have got paganism within their religion. They believe God is three, okay? And Hinduism has three. But Islam, it matters a lot because we strongly believe in just the one God. We'll do questions at the end.
Yeah. Okay.
Questions are at the end, sorry.
Muhammad alayhi salam, Muhammad alayhi salam, he used to pray for his 4 days. Before all the people is fasted Monday and
Yes, I'm coming to that in a minute. I haven't got to that bit. Yes,
Okay.
that is what we can do.
Yes.
Yes. What we can do, I haven't got to yet. That's why I said please wait till the end. I'm covering the bits we can't do yet, and then we're going to do the bits that we can do.
Yeah.
Okay? So, the other thing is exaggeration of the Prophet. He himself said, do not exaggerate about me, as the Christians exaggerated about the son of Maryam. I am only a slave, so say the slave of Allah and his messenger. By over the top celebrating his birth, we are making him really elevated, and some Muslims are actually beginning to pray through the Prophet. This happens a lot in Pakistan, a lot. People are praying their prayers through the Prophet, thinking he will answer their prayers, which is shirk, because we only believe in Allah who answers our prayers. So it's really, really elevating the Prophet. He said, I'm only a man like you to whom has been revealed that your God's one, God is one God. So whoever would hope for the meeting with his Lord, let him do righteous work and not associate in the worship of his Lord anyone. So, Prophet himself said, do not praise me so much. And for belief in Allah to be correct, it needs to be supported by correct knowledge. Incorrect knowledge will lead to the believer to incorrect forms of worship involving shirk and idolatry. So any other form of worship to anyone other than Allah, even by using his name together with someone else's, is an act of shirk. And this is what has started to happen. In fact, people in the Asian subcontinent are worshipping the graves of saints and believing that those saints can answer their prayers. This is where it comes from. It's slowly beginning to get that way. If you join others in worship with Allah, then surely all your deeds will be in vain, and you will certainly be among the losers. And that is actually mentioned in the Quran, which we cannot refute against, because that's Allah's words. So this is all, even associating partners with Allah leads to shirk. And then we've got another one here, narrated Abdullah, this is now a hadith. The best talk speech is Allah's book, Quran, and the best way is the way of Muhammad, and the worst matters are that here sees those new things which are, here says, those new things which are introduced into the religion, and whatever you have been promised will surely come to pass, and you cannot escape. And that's again from Sahih Bukhari, which is a very strong hadith. So grave worship is idol worship. Allah says in the Holy Quran, do you worship besides Allah that which holds for you no power of harm or benefit, while it is Allah who is the hearer, hearing the known. Whosoever hopes to meet his Lord should do what is right and not associate anyone in the worship of his Lord. That's Surah Qaf. And like I said, the oneness of God is the core of the Islamic faith. And it is very, very important that we understand that Islam is the only religion that practices Tawheed in the most purest sense. And it is really, really important that we understand that with the other religions, they are already got polytheistic beliefs in their faiths. The success is from Allah alone, so go towards Allah and Allah will bring you closer to success. So reasons why we shouldn't celebrate. We don't need one day to celebrate the birth of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We can celebrate it every day by following his sunnah. Did you know that whenever we read our salah, we already are praising and sending blessings to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam through the darood. We are doing that every time we pray. every day we are following his sunnah. Okay? These are the things that we need to do. The Muslim constantly keeps the memory of the Messenger alive and has a connection with him night and day throughout his life, through that which Allah has prescribed, not only on the day of the Milad and things which are bid'ah and go against the Sunnah, for that puts one at a distance from the Messenger, and the Messenger will disown him because of that. So that is very important. Also, we are allowed to fast on our birthday, or you can fast on that day as well, because the Prophet used to fast on the day he was born, but also he used to fast every Monday and Thursday. Every Monday and Thursday he used to fast. He said that all my deeds are lifted up to the Lord on that day. So fasting is something that we can do. Be with the truth even if you are alone. Even if everybody is going towards that direction, you should try. If you are right, even if wrong is wrong, even if everyone is doing it, right is right, even if no one is doing it. The only way to please Allah is, remember what we have to remember is only to please Allah, not other people. A lot of people say this to me, that the whole family is doing this, then we have to do it, but you are answerable for your own deeds. And remember, Judgment Day is the main day where you have to answer to Allah. Forget all the other days. And I'm going to finish off with my favorite scholar who explains everything in a nutshell.
So when we come back to Tawheed and Ibadah, worshipping Allah by maintaining His unity in that worship, we do so in the way that the companions of the Prophet ﷺ did. We do not invent or introduce new ways of worship. As some people, for example, they want to celebrate the birthday of the Prophet ﷺ. So they say, well, this is something good. They may even bring a verse from the Quran. They would say, Allah said in the Quran, إِنَّ اللَّهَ وَمَلَائِكَتَهُ يُصَلُّونَ عَلَى النَّبِيِّ يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا صَلُّوا عَلَيْهِ وَسَلِّمُوا تَسْلِيمًا. They bring this verse out. And you say, well, it doesn't say celebrate the Prophet's birthday there. It's there, it's there. This is what it means. It's their interpretation. Right? Their interpretation. The point is that the companions of the Prophet ﷺ didn't understand that verse that way. And that's why they never celebrated his birthday. And he himself didn't understand that verse that way, and he didn't celebrate his birthday. And the early generations didn't celebrate his birthday. It wasn't until some 400 years after the time of Prophet ﷺ that his birthday began to be celebrated in Egypt in the Fatimid Shiite rule. In the Fatimid Shiite dynasty in Egypt, the celebration of the Prophet ﷺ's birthday began.
Allahu Akbar, Allah.
So we say this is not what you do. Some people say, well, okay, leave that aside.
Allah.
If we can just listen to the Dhan, and it's only 3 more minutes after this and then I'll stop. So if you can please stay to watch the whole video, it's very, very important.
Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح
celebrating his birthday, what are we doing in the celebration? We're only remembering Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We're asking Allah to bless him. You know, these are all good things. We remember his seerah, his life, and all this. These are all good things. Do you say this is not good in Islam? Yes, these things are good things. But to combine them on that day, every year, you have now created something new in the religion. This is bid'ah. Similarly, we could ask, if somebody suggested to you, you have to understand bid'ah, sometimes it involves something completely new, like the idea of the birthday celebration, because we don't really have any precedents for it at all in Islam. But bid'ah may actually have precedence in the religion itself, wherein a person takes something like, after prayers, raising your hand in dua. After every prayer, people raise their hands in dua. People say, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with it? Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said that Allah does not like, or he is shy, that anyone would raise their hands in dua and that they would put their hands down without fulfilling their wish, their desire. Isn't that implied that we should raise our hands in dua? Prophet Muhammad ﷺ raised his hands in the dua of istisqa, the prayer to seek rain. He raised his hands so high, so he did it, they could see his armpits. So here's the evidence. But the point is, we do not find any narration indicating that the Prophet Muhammad after every prayer raised his hands in dua. He said, it's picky. Why are you going to get so picky? You know, if it said that you raise your hands, Allah is shy enough to give you, he said the Prophet raised his hands in istisqa, why can't we just do it after every prayer then? What's the problem here? We say, the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ is not just what he did, but also what he didn't do. You have sunnah fi'liya, the sunnah of actions which he did, and sunnah tarkiya, or sunnah of actions which he didn't do, which are religion, dealing with the religion. Of course, there are many things he didn't do which he didn't like, personally. We're not talking about those. We're talking about things connected with the religion. The things he didn't do, it is sunnah not to do. Very important. Because if one opens this door, that as long as he said this, he said that, we can put it all together and come up with something which he didn't do, then the religion becomes innovated. You can now change the religion at will. Because I can bring something to you. I say to you, Prophet Muhammad said, prayer in jama'ah is worth 27 times prayer by yourself. Everybody knows this. He also said, whenever you enter the masjid, you should pray 2 rak'at, 2 units of prayer, before sitting down. Everybody knows this. Let us put the two together. We come into the masjid, I now suggest to you, let us make tahiyatul masjid in jama'ah. If I suggest that, what do people say? They say, no, you can't do that. Why not? Prophet ﷺ said the prayer in jama'ah is worth more than the prayer by yourself. He also said, whenever you come in, you should do these 2 rak'ah. Why can't we put them together and do it? Well, the Prophet ﷺ didn't do it. That's why, yes. He didn't do it, so we cannot do it. He made tahajjud in jama'ah. This is also sunnah, and he did it in jama'ah. We can do it because he did it. But to do tahiyyat al-masjid in jama'ah, or to do the sunnahs before dhuhr, the sunnahs after dhuhr in jama'ah, we can't do it because Prophet Muhammad didn't do it. And that's emphasized by his well-known statement, مَا تَرَكْتُ شَيْئًا يُقَرِّبُكُمْ إِلَى اللَّهِ إِلَّا وَأَمَرْتُكُمْ بِهِ. I didn't leave anything which would bring you closer to Allah without instructing you to do it. That's the bottom line. If it's going to bring you closer to Allah, Prophet Muhammad told us to do it. If he didn't tell us to do it, it will not bring you closer to Allah, no matter how good you think this is, how much reasoning you give behind it, it will not bring you closer to Allah. It will take you farther away from Allah. This is the basic principle based on the statement of the Prophet ﷺ, Man ahdatha fi amrina ma laysa minhu fahuwa radd. Whoever introduces anything new in this religion of ours, not approved by Allah and by the Messenger of Allah, it is rejected. This is to protect the religion in its pristine purity from change, deviation, etc., like what happened to the other religion, the other messages which are of Islam but became distorted in time, like that of Christianity, Judaism, etc., etc.
Okay, thank you very much. Please don't read your sunnahs in Jamaat, like you just said. It's the Salah time now, so can all the sisters please pray behind here? The reason is I want you all to stay afterwards for a really excellent lecture.